Hello and welcome to my yoga class, which has become a weekly affair for more than a year, and I'm grateful for anyone who tunes in, my regular friends and my unseen companions who might view it on YouTube. Today, I'm going to do a mainly Yin yoga class and maybe a little bit of restorative at the end. And also, I'm going to work a little bit on these, one of these slogans, Atisha's, the Bengali master, Atisha Dipankara, who was a Buddhist teacher who went to Sumatra and in the 10th century brought back these special teachings, these slogans that were then organized by Geshe Chekawa, a Tibetan, a Buddhist teacher. And then they were later published in Rinpoche's Training the Mind and Cultivating Loving Kindness in 1993. And there, one of the commentators writes that Atisha's slogans provide an earthy, practical way to work with our ego clinging and to cultivate tenderness and compassion, both through meditation and through the events of everyday life. So I do like this notion of cultivating kindness and tenderness in our meditation and also in our everyday life. So perhaps we'll just sit here in just with our feet together, and you can sit up on something. I have an old Buddhist cushion here, but you could sit on you don't have to do this, but I have a little bit of a bad knee, and so it helps to elevate my legs a bit, my behind a bit. So the first slogan, and slogan, it would be kind of like a pointer. Slogan is an odd term, but it really is about a pointer in life. And the point of this is to simply afford us something to contemplate while we're doing our poses. So I like the way our mind sort of opens up to ideas and they just flow in. And then if we work too hard at it, it gets all bunged up. So I like the idea of just letting this flow into you and flow over you, flow through you through the class, and let bits of it revisit you in the next hour. So slogan 11 is reads in one of these commentaries as when the world is filled with evil, transform all mishaps into the path of the Bodhi, or the seeker after enlightenment. When things go wrong, when we encounter obstacles, the last thing on our minds is the Dharma, or the way. Instead, what is the first thing on our minds? Ourselves. It is all about how we are being inconvenienced, burdened, put upon, attacked, misunderstood, rejected, you name it. Not only do we lose track of the path, but our concern for others goes into hibernation as we focus front and center on our own particular problem. Now, if your legs get tired, I should say, you could just sit with your feet straight out in Dandasana, or you could find another easy pose. So this is also an easy pose, just with your legs crossed like this. There is also a Burmese way of sitting where you have your heels together like this. So that's another way of sitting. And of course, when we're sitting like this, we're imagining that we have a little string that's going up to the sky, that we're really trying to find a sense of equilibrium in our spine, a neutral spine. We're not leaning forward, we're not coming back. Okay, just so we have lots of alternatives to sitting. I'm just going to read a little bit, but I want us to feel we're actually in a place where we can hear comfortably. So is it possible to use the very obstacles that block us and cause us to close down as a means of awakening? If so, it would be great, as there is certain to be no shortage of mishaps. And who can think of a time when the world was not filled with evil, when all was harmonious and at peace? And of course, these days, it really is the war seems very present in our lives. According to this slogan, you do not have to pretend that everything is okay, and you do not have to wait for things to get better in order to practice. Instead of viewing mishaps as personal attacks, you can include them in your practice. You might even welcome them, for it is when you face difficulties, not when things are going smoothly, that you learn the most. That is what tests the strength of your practice. Transformation does not mean that all our problems go away or that we overcome all our difficulties. It does not mean that the world is suddenly all rosy. It means that the path of Dharma is big enough to accommodate whatever arises, good or bad. When you work with mishaps, using the tools of mindfulness and loving kindness, your relationship to such mishaps is transformed. And in the process, so are you. So every day, these slogans, you're supposed to take up one of these slogans every day. And this one, today's practice from slogan 11 is, as obstacles arise throughout the day, pay particular attention to your immediate response and the assumptions embedded in that response. Where is the awakening and where do you get stuck? So that is the purpose of meditation, really, is to afford us that gap between events and our response, to afford us a space so that we don't respond to things just automatically with our my usual all too failed human response. Your meditative practice, and the practice, I think, of yoga, where you're focusing and concentrating on something outside of yourself, it disciplines your mind so that you do have a little bit of that gap in which to act. So, with that in mind, that lofty goal in mind, I'm just going to breathe and feel a sense of pleasure. We don't talk enough about pleasure, but let's say we can feel pleasure. And what is pleasure? Pleasure is an activity. We have many things that give us pleasure. And pleasure is an attitude and an emotion. And I think that I know at holiday time, many of us have a sense of gathering with family, and others have a sense of emptiness and missing people and things. I've been going to a lot of funerals these days, and I'm just at that age. And yesterday there was a funeral, and I thought, oh, it was actually a celebration of life. I thought, I want this to be my celebration of life, because it was filled with music. And I thought, here we are in a place where people were filled with grief and loss. This man had died at 74, not very old, and he was very fit and athletic. And the event was filled with beautiful music, and these musicians were playing. He'd volunteered at the Folk Fest for many years, and so there was a celebratory concert. And I was thinking about pleasure and joy. So let's fill ourselves with joy and pleasure and music today as we do our practice. So let's breathe in joy and music, and let's breathe out loneliness and sorrow. And let's breathe in joy and breathe out sorrow. Inhale and exhale. And when we're inhaling, we can inhale into our belly, deep into our belly, and then exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And when we're breathing today, let's breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. Now, if this is too much for you, you just find a comfortable breath pattern. But we're going to inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. And I'll just leave you for a few breaths on your own. All right. So we can remain seated, and I will just push back anything I've been sitting on, and I'll find a strap if I need it, and I may have a little blanket, and I might have some blocks nearby. And if you're in my house, you have a lot of dog toys because my puppy uses my yoga mats as her little playpen. All right, so we're just going to sit in Dandasana and with our feet out, and I'm drawing back my toes here, and I'm arching my feet, and I'm pressing out with the heels and with the toe pads. And I'm going to try and widen my toes. Now, mine are not that great. My toe widening isn't that great, but I can tell you it's much better than it was a few years ago. And this is really good for arthritic feet, actually. So let's just sit like this. And if you want to, you can use a strap around the arches of your feet and sit like this, and wiggle your toes. Or you can just sit. So, and if you don't have a strap on, we're going to do some foot joint bringing exercises, they're called. So we're going to just point our toes and then draw our feet back again and point our toes. We can clench our toes and open them, clench our toes and then open them, open our toes out, clench our toes and then open them. So one of the obstacles some of us have to joy is a little bit of arthritis or sometimes a lot. So these can be very helpful for arthritic feet. And I find when I'm doing my asanas, my feet get cramped. So this helps quite a bit. So we're just pointing and then pushing our heels out, pointing and then pulling our toes back and pushing our heels out. And now we can rotate our feet, our ankles, give our ankle joints a little oiling, and then the other way. Good. And we can work on our hands a little bit. Let's just rub our hands together for a moment. I'm going to take my glasses off, and I'm just going to put my hands on my eyes just to kind of soothe them a little bit. And while I have my hands on my eyes, I'll work with my eyes a bit, and I'm going to just look in towards the right with my eyes closed, and then look towards the left, look towards the right, left, right, left, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Good. All right. So now we'll do some work with our hands, and I'm just going to interlace my fingers and press them out. And then this will help our shoulders if we just lift them up over our head. And then I'm going to press my hands out, the palms of my hands out, straight out, big stop sign. And then I'm going to press out the other way with my fingers pointing down, so my wrist is getting another workout. And then I'm going to circle my hands around, and then the other way. Good. And now we'll come back, and I'll stretch them out and bring them up, and we're just going to repeat that one time, pressing out, press, press, press. And all the time you're feeling your head coming straight up, and you're pressing up through your feet. So it's actually quite an active movement, pressing out through your heels here. Good. And now pressing out through the tops of your hands. And then we'll just come up. And we can just embrace ourselves, embrace our shoulders here, with one arm on top of the other. And let's just turn our body to one side, our torso, and then the other. Just rotate a bit, just move, give ourselves a little bit of spinal movement here, side to side. And then we're going to embrace ourselves with our other hand and with the other arm on top, and just rotate slightly here. Good. All right. Okay, now we can massage our hands here, just the inside of our, that little crevice, the muscle between our thumb and our forefinger. And we can pull on our fingers a little. There we go. And just give them a little stretch this morning. Good. And we can once again massage that little space there. This is actually a Chinese pressure point that when I go sometimes to the dentist, I'll press in it, and it tends to give me something else to think about other than potential dangers of someone in my mouth. Okay, here we go. Good, 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 good. And now we're just going to flick. We're going to hold our fingers over our thumb and flick, flick, flick. We can do this like a dozen times or so. Really freeing ourselves here. Good. And now we're going to shake out our hands and shake out our arms over our head. There we go. Good. All right. On with the classes. Okay. So let's do some yin poses here, where we've been sitting long enough, I think, in a version of Dandasana. So we'll do this sort of sit-in seated tree pose. So we take our right foot and put it inside our inner thigh, and then we either wrap a strap around our foot, or you can go forward, and you can hold on to your toes. So we can just actually round ourselves. So there's this upright pose, and then there's another one where we actually move forward and fold over our leg. Now, I do recommend you sitting up on something if it's very difficult to reach your foot, and you can elevate that if you make it thicker, and that will help you move forward. Now, I just need to get my timer here, and here anyway. Someone gave me this watch, and I can never remember exactly how it works, but okay. Let me see. So you just sit there, and I will eventually find the timer so that I can make sure that I'm not torturing you with too much. So we'll sit for about 4 minutes here. Just started the timer. So we're turned a little bit towards that leg, and we are moving over it and holding on to the tops of our foot, or we can be holding on to straps and just folding over. And just to repeat what I've said before, Yin Yoga is about resilience. It's not about pain, but it is about discomfort and edge, finding your edge and working with it in order to feel you are really challenging yourself. But it isn't that. One of my first teachers was a Swami in a Shivananda retreat, and his motto was no pain, no gain. Of course, that led to many injuries. So people don't really subscribe to that motto anymore. But you can, in fact, feel yourself moving down, and then there's some discomfort. You can move back slightly and then breathe into it. You can inhale and feel your body come up slightly, and then exhale and feel yourself surrender to the pose. So it's a very calming, centering process, because we are folded in on ourselves. The pose allows us to become introspective and to think about that inner space of reflection, to move away from our everyday lists and concerns and crises, and just to find a little bit of calm in the midst of the day. And all the time we're breathing, inhaling, and seeing if we can exhale for a little bit longer. All right, now I'll just invite you to come up, and we are going to just work on the other side so that we will be balanced, or as balanced as it's possible for me to be under the circumstances. All right, so I'm pulling my, I'm just placing my foot on the inner seam of my leggings, and I have a bad knee, so I'm going to put a block underneath this leg, which will give me some support. So you find a place that is not going to injure yourself. So, and I'm just turning towards my outstretched leg. I'm pressing out through my heel and wiggling my toes just to remind myself that I have them and that they're alive. And then I'm going to fold over and either hold onto a strap and fold over, or you can fold over and just hold onto the top of the foot, the side of the foot, the outside of the foot. You can fold on. You can, if you have the bandwidth, so to speak, you can use the opposite hand and hold on to the outer edge of that foot, and you can use the elbow to help you extend down. So this can be a way to work with your edge, that moment at which something becomes uncomfortable, and you decide how much of that discomfort you want to feel, because the discomfort will help you move a little bit more deeply. But our muscles are very interesting. It's like working on a puzzle or problem. Sometimes thinking about something else for a few moments or an hour or whatever allows you to return to that problem and to revisit it with fresh eyes. And our muscles, sometimes they work so that you can put some pressure on stretching them. But then when you release slightly and then move back into the pose, you allow the spindles of the muscle to really elongate, and that helps quite a bit. So we have a few more minutes in this pose. Now let's come up. And we can just stretch our legs out, our knees out, and bring them in. And stretch them out. All right. Now, I think that we will just, I want us to go sort of back and forth a little bit with our poses today. So, well, we'll do a little bit of a um, a little bit of a back bend here. I'm just going to get a couple of blocks, and I'm going to go into a bridge. Now, I'm just going to use it on the two lowest. So you decide what you want to do. I'm going to put mine on the two lowest, and I'm going to put this underneath my sacrum. And I'm just going to allow myself to open my chest up so that when I'm breathing, I'm really breathing with an open chest. So I'm just moving back into my little yoga lair here. And I am going to move back like this. Now, you don't have to do that. This is actually a bit awkward. You can actually do it from being on the floor and just putting your blocks in. But from there, that might be too much for you, in which case, just use one block. You find the elevation that works for you. But we're going to be in this pose for about 4 minutes. And if it's too much, you can bend your knees and just leave them there. Otherwise, you can try and straighten them out. You could start with your knees bent, and then as your body opens out, you can move back. You shouldn't feel any pain in your lower back. That's not the point of this exercise. Okay. So I'm just going to start this with 4 minutes, and I'm going to invite you to stay here for 4 minutes. And I'm going to give us a little opportunity to breathe. So I'm going to read from one of my favorite books, which is Thich Nhat Hanh's Breathe, You Are Alive, a sutra on the full awareness of breathing. And I'll just read some of the breathing exercises. So breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in a long breath, I know I am breathing in a long breath. Breathing out a long breath, I know I am breathing out a long breath. Breathing in a short breath, I know I am breathing in a short breath. Breathing out a short breath, I know I am breathing out a short breath. Breathing in, I am aware of my whole body. Breathing out, I am aware of my whole body. Breathing in, I calm my whole body. Breathing out, I calm my whole body. Breathing in, I calm my whole body. Breathing out, I calm my whole body. All right, so you can lift up your body and remove your blocks. And we're just going to work on a kind of a restful pose here, but it's good. It's a good inversion. And we're just going to put our legs up the wall. So you can, in fact, come out of that and go back. Now, I have this funny post here, as you can see. So I've got my legs theoretically up a wall, and I'm just resting them against the wall, this imaginary wall, but you would have a wall. Or you can do it on a chair. So I'm putting my feet up chair. So either way, or I suppose you could just sit in the middle of the room. And especially if you've had a strap, you might be able to just allow yourself just to rest here. You need to just let your elbows rest on the floor if you don't have a wall. But the object is to have your legs above your chest, your heart. And these inversions are very good for us. So we'll just stay in that pose for 4 minutes. And I'm going to continue on with these quite beautiful breathing practices. The first 4 exercises that we did of the long breath and the short breath, and the breathing in the awareness of your whole body and breathing in calming your whole body, is intended, according to Thich Nhat, to unite our mind and our breath and our body, and to remind us how our breath, controlling our breath, can calm us in challenging times. So since we're still in that space of thinking through that slogan of, as the world fills up with evil, go ahead and find peace, our breath affords us an opportunity to find that peace. So the second 4 exercises in this breathing practice are: 1, breathing in, I feel joyful. Breathing out, I feel joyful. So we're breathing in, filling up our belly, our chest, our upper chest, and then we're breathing out from our upper chest down, emptying our body of breath. And then we're breathing in to our belly, our chest, our upper chest, and then we're breathing out from the upper chest down. Breathing in, I feel joyful. Breathing out, I feel joyful. Breathing in, I feel happy. Breathing out, I feel happy. Breathing in, I am aware of my mental formations Breathing out, I am aware of my mental formations. Breathing in, I calm my mental formations. Breathing out, I calm my mental formations. And these 4 exercises of fully aware breathing help us return to our feelings in order to develop joy and happiness and transform suffering. Our feelings are us. If we do not look after them, who will do it for us? Every day we have painful feelings, and we need to learn to look after them. Our teachers and our friends can help us to some extent, but we have to do the work. Our body and our feelings are our territory. Okay, now we are going to draw our legs in to our chest and give ourselves a little bear hug, and we can rock side to side. And then we're going to move our legs to the side and come to sit up. We're going to do an opposite movement, which is going to be a bit of a stretch for our spine. And as we know, an agile spine is the key signifier of our age. So I may be 72, but my spine is, I'm sure, about 53, something like that. Okay, so let's just do our, we're going onto our belly, and we are pointing our toes back. I'll go this way here. Pointing our toes back. And we're just coming up on our elbows here into a what is a kind of sphinx pose. So we are pointing our toes. Mine are cramping, so I'm going to wiggle them a little. And then feeling our chest open here. Our elbows are below our shoulders, and we are really feeling our upper spine move and our chest open. At a certain point, I'm going to suggest that we stretch our arms out here and into what's called seal. And so we have a deeper back bend, but we're keeping the pelvis on the ground. All right. So let's just stay in the Sphinx pose, and I will set us up for 4 minutes. That would be in the Sphinx. And if you want to move into seal, you can at a certain point, but you can stay in Sphinx depending on your back. Okay, so the third 4 exercises is a series of exercises that has to do with our mind and the activities of our mind. And I was teaching meditation last night, and someone said she had this list of things to do in her head that she couldn't get rid of. So this is intended to help us with our lists. So focusing on these exercises should focus our mind. Breathing in, I am aware of my mind. Breathing out, I am aware of my mind. Breathing in, I am aware of my mind. Breathing out, I am aware of my mind. Breathing in, I make my mind happy. Breathing out, I make my mind happy. Breathing in, I make my mind happy. Breathing out, I make my mind happy. And if you are up for it, you can stretch your arms out and straight, and so that they are out like this, your palms flat on the floor, so you get more of a back bend. But if that's too much for you, just stay in the Sphinx pose. Breathing in, I concentrate my mind. Breathing out, I concentrate my mind. Breathing in, I concentrate my mind. Breathing out, I concentrate my mind. And we're inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And if at any time you find yourself in pain, you can, of course, come down and just cradle your hands underneath your cheek and rest. Breathing in, I liberate my mind. Breathing out, I liberate my mind. Mental formations are part of our territory. There are seeds buried deep in our consciousness that we do not touch often enough. Seeds of love, of understanding, of compassion, joy, knowing right from wrong, the ability to listen to others, non-violence, and the willingness to overcome ignorance, aversion, and attachment. Through the practice of mindfulness, we learn to identify these traits in us and nurture them with the help of teachers and spiritual friends until they grow into beautiful flowers. When we survey our territory, we also find destructive traits such as anger, despair, suspicion, pride. Because we do not like to look at these negative traits, we do not want to come back to ourselves. But with the aid of the practice of mindful breathing, we learn to take full responsibility for restoring our territory and taking good care of it. Okay, and now just come out. You can just go down and cradle your, and make a pillow with your hands. And we will just, we're nearing the end of our time together. And we've done just a few postures just to stretch our spine in different ways, to lubricate our joints. And now we're going to, you can either stay prone on your stomach in final relaxation if you like, or you can roll onto your back and move into final relaxation or shavasana. So here we're going to remind ourselves that we are finding peace in a war, finding calm in a storm, finding care in the midst of indifference. And we are opening ourselves up to joy and to happiness and to pleasure. Breathing in, I observe the impermanent nature of all things. Breathing out, I observe the impermanent nature of all things. Breathing in, I observe the impermanent nature of all things. Breathing out, I observe the impermanent nature of all things. Breathing in, I observe letting go. Breathing out, I observe letting go. This 13th breathing exercise sheds light on the ever-changing, impermanent nature of all that exists. The physiological, the psychological, and the physical. Breathing itself is also impermanent. The insight into impermanence is very important because it opens the way for us to see the interrelated, interconditioned nature, as well as the selfless nature of all that exists. Nothing has a separate, independent self. The last exercise illuminates for us what it is to let go of ourselves, to give up all the burdens of our ignorance and our grasping. To be able to let go is already to have arrived at liberation. And as we are returning to our senses again, we can wiggle our toes and our fingers. We can feel the enlivening sensations of awakening. And we can wiggle and stretch our arms and our legs and roll onto our side and make our way to sitting. And I'm just going to read you a very short little piece by Sukha Siddhi. And I've been working on studying meditation, and I really like this one. Don't meditate. Don't meditate. Don't meditate with your mind. This mental meditation is just more thinking. keeping you stuck in existence. Release from within, and you will be free. I love that. So I will just thank you for being here and sharing some time together. And I would like to share this merit with our own health and well-being, and with the health and well-being of all living things. Thank you for practicing, and congratulations on being here now in this moment together in community.